welcome to Stoppage Time with IPJ and my man, John Buckets. Buckets, how are you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling good, Ian. I was just alerted by our producer, Jeff, that if we swear in the first 7 seconds, it can affect the monetization of our show. So I'm glad that we're being patient. I feel like usually the war cry kind of gets us through that before we drop the first F-bomb, but I'm feeling good, man. Nothing of note to talk about.
So basically, you're asking for a 7-second war
War
cry at
cry.
the beginning of every single show. Hey, real quickly, before we go any further, I just want to ask, did you watch any Major League Soccer this past weekend?
I did. I had LA Galaxy to win and score over 3 goals, so that one did not happen. But besides that, I watched that game and I watched Inter Miami taking on NYCFC, which was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, listen, not very happy with Lionel Messi and how frustrated Lionel Messi was with his decision to go towards the referee at the end of the game. And then he went to one of the NYCFC's assistant coaches and grabbed him around the neck. Let me just tell you something. Lionel Messi or no Lionel Messi, had that guy grabbed me around the neck and pointed to the tunnel, I would have sprinted down there waiting for an opportunity. To me, it's disrespectful as hell. I don't like what we're seeing from Lionel Messi. I don't like what we're seeing from Busquets, from Alba. I don't like what we're seeing from obviously Suarez as well, with the hatred towards referees and the anger and the decision making. To me, it's not a good sign going forward, and it's for the young people who are watching, but also for players in Major League Soccer as well, who are seeing this happen with legends of the game, thinking, okay, maybe if it's okay for them to criticize referees and berate them after games, it's okay for me too. To me, it's unacceptable. Anyway, NYCFC should have won that game. We're unfortunate they didn't win that game, but I'm happy that San Diego won. That is, of course, the city where I was born, Buckets, and I'm very happy that San Diego have got off to a great start. Congratulations to our producer, Jeff, as well, who's been active with Major League Soccer and continues to produce across the globe. He is one of the best in the business, and that will remain. So if you're looking to hire a producer, as you can see by Stoppage Time, we've got one of the best, but he's not fucking cheap. Also, please make sure you jump on our social media platforms. Twitter, obviously, X now. We also have TikTok going very well. It's been great for us in the Champions League. Instagram Reels has been very good. The YouTube Shorts have been pretty good. And Buckets, you've been pretty active on your social medias as well. You actually had a very good Champions League week, which was fun to see how all the games played out.
Yeah, I had a great second day of Champions League, it felt like, or it was a bit of a struggle in the beginning, but it's just kind of finding your form. But thankfully, second legs, as we've talked about before, are always a little easier to wager on just because you know who gives a shit at that point. I mean, PSG versus Stade Brest, I was on both teams to score in that one. I thought Stade Brest would have a little bit, just a little bit of pride there, but PSG said, no, thank you, we'll beat you 44-0. But all around, a great Champions League run and a good Europa League run as well. So that felt good for the old confidence boost there.
And for me, Kylian Mbappe didn't score 1. He didn't score 2. He actually scored 3 in that game. And I did mention on the show that you should ladder it. And one of our loyal listeners out there sent me a image of him laddering the bet all the way through to a hat-trick, which I'm very happy with. It was plus 650 for the hat-trick, which is kind of low numbers. I thought it would be a lot higher than that. Pretty special, but obviously at the same time, our loyal listeners are creating their own bets. Me and Buckets are giving information, and you are taking that information and creating, which I love to see. On today's show, we got a Premier League special for everybody out there. We're going to continue the rapid betting. It seems to be working for our loyal listeners. For the viewers out there, the numbers are absolutely fantastic. We can't thank you all enough out there. But for those betting lovers, we're going to continue this trend because we do have a midweek slate of Premier League action, Buckets, to look forward to. Every single game will be tackled, be obviously Buckets with his best bets and myself, and we'll do it in rapid fashion for everybody as best as we possibly can. So I want to catch everybody up as to where we sit right now in the Premier League bucket. So as we look at the top half of the Premier League table, what stands out to you?
I'm sorry, is that Nottingham Forest in third on the Premier League table? Obviously, Liverpool having one hell of a season, 9 points ahead of Arsenal. Arsenal and Forest still with the game in hand, as well as City. But Liverpool way up top, and Nottingham's got to be the biggest shot here, right?
Yeah, Nottingham and Bournemouth are probably the two biggest shocks as to how well they're actually doing. There's no Manchester United in the top half of the table, as you'll see in a minute. Chelsea are trying to get up there. The battle for top 4 is well and truly on, but it looks like the battle for the championship is completely over. I mean, Liverpool's odds, as I'll show you in a minute, they're just flying away with it. The victory against Manchester City was spectacular, and we'll talk about Mohamed Salah a little bit later on in the show. Let's go to the bottom half of the table, and the bottom 3 who came up last season look like they're going straight back down. Buckets, all of them in very high minus numbers to get relegated.
Very high minus numbers. Southampton with 9 points in 26 matches. That's just tough. I mean, there's no justification for that. They did good to get here, but they're clearly not ready. Back down they go. Maybe a chance that Ipswich survives, but I think we're going to see 3 up, 3 down at the end of the season.
Minus 42 goal difference and only 2 victories on the season. Not many win bonuses coming through the door at the Saints this season. So who's going to win it all? Let's have a look at the odds. Liverpool are heavy favourites, minus 1,400. Arsenal, the closest challenger, is plus 1,000. They just lost to West Ham at home. Buckets, I mean, it's pretty crazy. Liverpool looks like they're going to roll with it. They certainly have had the season of dreams, and it looks like the bookies believe that as well.
They do. And with how Mo Salah is playing right now, I do not blame them. My word, the consistency he is showing for a goal and an assist damn near every single game, it makes sense why they're doing so well. I wouldn't bet anything on the winner at this point. I don't think it's even worth a sprinkle right now because I think Liverpool win this easily.
Okay, so you don't have anything for a winner, but do you have something for a top four? Because I have the futures on top four, and that's quite interesting right now. Manchester City at minus 250 is not too bad. Chelsea at plus 100. Nottingham Forest, as you already just noticed right there, already sitting in that position right now at plus 200. And Bournemouth plus 350 with Newcastle plus 200. Your thoughts?
There's a lot of tricky value to be had here. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of surprised by some of these numbers. Arsenal, Man City, that makes sense. I think Chelsea at plus 100. I've hyped them up a lot this season. They've been very disappointing in the last couple months. You're just kind of betting on who kind of figures it out in this final third of the season. I like the Nottingham Forest line a little bit. I will be honest. I know they've lost 2 in a row now, but this is a team that with Connor Wood has been good enough for me to see them finish top 4. But this is a tough one. I'd have to think about this.
Chris Wood, I'll correct you on his
Oh,
name. He
thank
is
you.
a banger of a striker, having a wonderful season. Okay, so I can't entice you necessarily with the top four. How about top 6 buckets? Take a look right now at Bournemouth to reach the top 6.
Oh, yeah. Bournemouth
Plus
is a must play
110.
for me. Bournemouth is a
Really?
must play at plus 110. I love Bournemouth right now. Yeah, I'm taking that.
Aston Villa currently sitting in 8th place. They're on 42 points. They're only 2 points away from top 4 in the Premier League. That right there at plus 225 to finish top 6, to me also is very enticing. They do have the Champions League to deal with as well, but for me, it is also pretty close to being a play there. I do like City. I do like Chelsea to finish very close to the top 4. City, I think, will finish in the top 4. Newcastle will be very close to top 4 as well. I think Forest might fall out of the top 4. I'm just going to throw that out there. All right, let's go to the top goal scorer and who's going to be it and actually look at where we stand right now. Mohamed Salah, as you pointed out there, doing great with the goals and assists. It's 11 goal as an assist in a single game now, which is absolutely crazy. 25 goals for him this campaign. Erling Haaland injured currently at 19 goals on the season. Great season from Alexander Isak and, of course, Chris Wood, as we just talked about, on 18 goals this season. Quite special buckets, but as you look at the Golden Boot race, Mohamed Salah is leading by quite far. Do you give any chance to Erling Haaland at plus 400 and Alexander Isak, as you will see here, plus 1,200 to win the Golden Boot?
Do we know how bad Holland's injury is at the moment? Because I know that he's been kind of available, but not really getting the play time. So I don't know. I'd be tentative to take anyone who's currently injured. Isak maybe is worth a shout. But right now, again, kind of just like how Liverpool is, Salah is so good and so consistent. I don't want to take anyone else.
Yeah, I think it's hard because Erling Haaland's injury, we heard from Pep Guardiola, obviously, that the injury is there. They don't quite know how serious it is. He was on the bench against Real Madrid, not available, obviously, at the weekend and in the Liverpool game. And I think that it could be a serious injury for him, which might rule him out to the end of the season. I mean, what's left to play for them is obviously top 4. They need to finish in the top 4. It might be top 5, remember, for Champions League. Remember that because the coefficient looks like the Italian teams getting knocked out of the Champions League will push that in the favor of the Premier League. Okay, let's get into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday's games in the Premier League that we will be building up towards. Tuesday's got some cracking matches, obviously. Buckets, anything in particular stand out to you on Tuesday's games that you're looking forward to?
The big one here for me is going to be that Brighton versus Bournemouth matchup. We have 2 teams that could realistically still finish top 4, as we've talked about. Brighton at 40 points. We've got Bournemouth at 43. Both teams are a little bit what I call coin flippy teams. One week you've got Brighton losing 7-0 to Nottingham Forest. The next week they're beating Chelsea 3-1. Kind of hard to bet on, but really good teams when they're playing well.
Wednesday's fixtures are also quite tasty. You do have Manchester United against Ipswich in action, which of course is one I'll be looking forward to. Nottingham Forest against Arsenal, Spurs against Manchester City, Liverpool against Newcastle is going to grab all the headlines because that is teams that are vying for European places right there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But one that's kind of a sneaky pick that I'm going to get into later. There's a lot of money to be had under this Everton side right now. So I'm going to give a bet later to talk about that, but that's going to be a fun one for me.
Thursday, just a lone game. It's West Ham, who just had a great victory against Arsenal, against Leicester, who are currently sitting in those relegation slots right now. It looks like Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to take Leicester down. Your thoughts?
Yep, absolutely agree with you. I had a little bit of hope with this Leicester side saying maybe the threat of relegation would motivate them and maybe they'd start kind of finding some form there with Jamie Vardy leading the charge, but they looked dead against Brentford. I was very disappointed in that performance.
You know what time it is?
Bet time. There we go.
It's the most watched time of our show, as producer Jeff has told us that there is a 9 to 10 minutes part of our show that is the most watched and people simply don't switch it off. You know what time it is, baby! It is time for stoppage time to get you some wagers from our betting expert. Yes, that is, of course, John Bucketimer! Our blonde bombshell, John Bucketimer. Our betting unicorn, John Bucketimer. Welcome back, Buckets. Let's go to the Premier League this time. It's match day 27, 10 bets from you. I'm looking for from 10 games in the Premier League during midweek games, and I'm looking forward to seeing if my fantasy team will also do well in this section. And that might be determined by what you're about to say. We got 60 seconds, Buckets, to hit each game. I want, obviously, to tee you up with the game. I want your best bet, and then I also want a little bit of time to be able to react. And maybe, just maybe, I'll produce a wager or two along the way. But you know you can't hide this week, Buckets, because the loyal listeners expect. And those Premier League loyal listeners out there, they are quite a demanding bunch, and they want to see you have success. So let's go to the first game, Buckets, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you got for Brighton against Bournemouth.
We cannot let the loyal listeners down. So when you're looking at the Brighton versus Bournemouth matchup, I will say that this is one of the games that I think has the most goals out of any EPL matchup this week. I absolutely love goals all over this one. And Ian, I'm a little worried by your face there, but I think we're going to see both teams to score and over 2.5 goals hit at -110. I've talked about how Brighton is a difficult team to bet on because they're a little bit inconsistent, but in the past couple of weeks, they have been devastating. 4-0 over Southampton, 3-0 over Chelsea, 2-1 over Chelsea in the FA Cup. They are good enough, especially at home, to get goals, but Bournemouth right now can score against anybody, IPJ.
Yeah, I agree with you. Bournemouth are a dangerous team. There will be goals in this game. I fully expect it, but I'm also expecting a top performance from Brighton, who are somewhat rejuvenated recently, as you pointed out there. I love their coach. They took him from FC St. Pauli. I'm looking at the money line for Brighton to be a hit right now. Obviously, it's currently sitting at +110, but it's +165 Brighton halftime money line, and that's where I'm going. Buckets! Let's go to the big one. Of course, it is Crystal Palace against Aston Villa.
Maybe not the big one for me because this is a really tough game to bet on here. We've got one of the worst teams at home in Crystal Palace with just 2 home victories this season versus one of the worst away sides in Aston Villa with just 4 victories on the road this season. 2 very inconsistent teams, but 2 teams that realistically don't have a ton to play for, especially if you're looking at Crystal Palace. They are so far ahead of relegation, they're safe. They would need one hell of an incredible end of the season to finish top 5. Not a ton to play for, but it's the home fans. They're going to want to do something here. And Aston Villa, they're fighting for top 4, Ian. Just give me BTTS at this one at -135.
You know, there's been one player who's really stood out to me, and it's not necessarily coming from Aston Villa, it's coming from Crystal Palace, and that is Jean-Philippe Mateta. Had a slow start to the season after coming back from the Olympics, where he had tremendous success, won a silver medal, but has got off to a great finish, and certainly over the Christmas period, really amped up his game. +110 to score or assist, Jean-Philippe Mateta, for me, that is a go. Let's go to Wolverhampton against Fulham.
Wolverhampton versus Fulham. There is only one thing I care about in this fixture. It is not a team. It is not a game prop. It is not both teams to score. I am looking at the main man for Wolves, Mateus Cunha, Ian, to score or assist. That is currently priced at +145. He has been the hero for this Wolves side so far this season. And if Wolves ever want to win a game, frankly, they need him to do something very special, like we saw him do just last weekend. He has 13 goals and 4 assists in his 23 starts, 17 goal contributions already this season. I think Wolves get 2+ goals here, and if that is ever going to happen, you bet your ass Cunha is going to be a part of it.
Pretty interesting that you said that, because I also believe that Wolves will get 2+ goals in this game, but I'm going for just the 2 goals in this game. Over 1.5 team total is currently sitting at plus 140 for Wolverhampton. Not an easy game because Fulham are a dangerous side, but Wolves are still just floating above that relegation zone. At home, they've only won, I think, 3 games, not scored many goals, with it only being 16. So I'm expecting goals here, and I'm expecting goals in a big, big way. Let's go to a big game for Chelsea. They need a win. They're playing against Southampton, who are shit.
Yeah, shit is the nice way to put it when you're talking about Southampton. Chelsea, I know you've been struggling. You've been falling apart in the last couple weeks, but if there was ever the chance for a bounce back fixture, it's going to be against Southampton. Chelsea need to win this game, and they need to win it in devastating fashion. Use this game to get some confidence back. Use this game to put up 4, 5, 6 goals and really have one of those Chelsea massive victories at home. I'm taking over 1.5 goals in the first half, Ian. It's minus 110 because Chelsea should cover this by themselves, and frankly, should get 3 or 4 against Southampton in the first half.
Yeah, listen, I'm looking for Cole Palmer to do the business in this game. There's not great numbers from Cole Palmer. I actually read a stat that he had created 30 goal opportunities for Chelsea over the last few games, and not one goal was put into the back of the net. So I'm looking at Cole Palmer to have a game, and sometimes you got to do it yourself. I'm not looking for him at anytime goal score minus 165. I'm looking at Cole Palmer, 2+ goals in this game, plus 280. In that game. Buckets, that is quite tasty to me because I love Cole Palmer. He's a brilliant player. Let's go to Wednesday's games, and Wednesday's game that kicks off, obviously, with Brentford against Everton. The Bees.
I have done the exact same wager on Everton for the last 5 league fixtures here, and that is Everton double chance, Ian, at minus 130, which means win or draw, we cash our ticket. Everton have not lost now in their last 6 league matches, which included a draw against Liverpool, a draw against Man United, a win over Brighton, a win over Tottenham Hotspurs. This is a team that is finally getting their shit together, and right now the books have not caught up to that line movement. Love double chance here.
Yeah, double chance is obviously interesting. Everton have been very good, obviously, with the Moisey coming back into the team. But Brentford at home are a very dangerous team. At home so far this season, 7 victories from 13 games. They've only lost 4. They've conceded 25, though, which is where your goals might come into play. And they've scored 29 goals. I'm looking at Brian Mbeumo, anytime goal scorer, plus 165 in that game. I also think Brentford get a couple of goals. So I'm looking at the Bees at getting a result here, Bucket. So I'm going against you a little bit. I think they beat Everton by a couple of goals at least. Let's go to my team. Manchester United against Ipswich.
All right, let me find Man United on the table. One sec. I got to keep going down. 15th on the table, Man United. Are you kidding me? But now you're playing Ipswich Town. This should be the kind of matchup that has you drooling, foaming from the lips, because you know that you should be able to score 2 or 3 goals here. But one of my favorite things to do is bet on relegation-bound teams to score, because Ipswich cannot sit back. They cannot park the bus. They have to go for goals here, Ian. I think BTTS hits in this matchup, and at minus 120, I got no problem playing with the juice for a Manchester United side that just doesn't defend anymore.
Well, Manchester United are currently shit. And I'm going to throw it out there. It is my team. I don't enjoy watching them play. Under Amorim, it's not been much better. Even though they did show some sort of heart and passion to get back into the game against Everton, they were lucky not to concede a penalty kick at the closing stages of the game. United at home, 5 wins. They've conceded more goals than they've scored at home. 22 goals conceded. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going for Manchester United halftime money line, currently sitting at plus 100. United to win by 4 goals in that game. Now, this game's a cracker. Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. I have no idea where you're going to go in this game, but I'm really intrigued.
Second on the table versus third on the table. Arsenal is a very frustrating team for me to bet on because they have one of the lowest both teams to score hit rates in the Prem, which you all know is my favorite wager. They have just hit BTTS in 2 of their last 7 matches across all competitions, so there's no way I could justify that bet. That's why I'm taking both teams to score, Ian, at minus 105, because all of that logic doesn't matter when you've got Nottingham Forest right now. A poor form Nottingham Forest coming off back-to-back losses, but back-to-back losses with a shit ton of goals. A 4-3 loss to Newcastle, a 2-1 loss to Fulham, and a 2-2 draw to Exeter City in the FA Cup before that. Nottingham Forest need to keep their form if they want to finish top 4. Arsenal should be good for a goal here, Ian. I think we see a surprising amount of goals.
I'm going for Chris Wood. I think we see goals as well. Chris Wood has been brilliant, 18 goals on the season. For Chris Wood to have 2+ shots in this game, it is currently sitting at plus 310, and those 2 shots must be on target. Buckets, let's go to Manchester City's away game against Tottenham Hotspur.
I call this the no fucking clue derby because we have two of the most inconsistent teams, not only in the EPL, but in the entire world. Manchester City coming into this matchup off a thrashing from Liverpool, where they didn't even look like they wanted to be there. And that's coming off a thrashing from Real Madrid in Champions League. So they will be desperate to turn something around. But without Haaland and without maybe KDB for a full 90 minutes, it's hard to make that happen. Meanwhile, Tottenham finally kind of figuring things out, a 4-1 win over Ipswich, coming off of 3 wins in a row. But Ian, I think we're just going to see a ton of goals here. I have no clue who wins, but I'm taking over 3.5 goals at -120.
Is it possible we see Matthias Tell finally score a couple of
Oh,
goals in a game? Like, it
please.
would be great to see him obviously turn it up. And we know
Please.
Marmoush on the other side is going to probably play well. I don't think there'll be any Erling Haaland, so don't place any bets until you see the lineup here. Matthias Tell currently sitting at plus 205 anytime goal scorer in this game. Brennan Johnson, he had a great weekend as well, plus 190 anytime goal scorer. He got 2 against Ipswich. Now, this is the biggest game of the bunch on Wednesday. It is Liverpool against Newcastle. Massive game for Liverpool. Essentially, if they win the title, right?
Yeah, no, damn near. And I wanted to take Mo Salah to score in this one. Ian, it's -180. So maybe you can take Mo Salah to score too, but even that's not good value. So instead, I'm doing the other thing that Mo Salah is doing almost every single matchup. Mo Salah assist is still plus 230 across the sports books, considering he has both scored and assisted, and as Ian mentioned, in 11 matches this season, and he does have 16 assists to his name. I'll play the plus 230 on that every single week.
Yeah, listen, this one's obviously interesting. I'm looking at, obviously, Mohamed Salah shots as well. I'm just going to throw a few bets out at you here. 2+ shots on target for Mohamed Salah is currently sitting at plus 110 in this game, which I find absolutely crazy. 1+ shot on target for Alexander Isak is -170. Expect goals from him. As far as goals go, plus 145 for Alexander Isak might be worth a little dabble. I'm just throwing it out there. Liverpool should probably still win the game. Thursday, West Ham against Leicester in the last game of the midweek slate.
This is probably my least favorite game of the entire midweek slate. I think there's probably some value on Jared Bowen to do something, whether that's shots, goals, assists. He's got to be the guy to help West Ham get over or get through this matchup. But West Ham is so much better than Leicester. Leicester is just that bad this season. But I still wanted to find a bet for Leicester, so I'm doing something maybe a little dumb, but I'm having fun with it. And I'm betting responsibly with my Jamie Vardy to score or assist line currently at plus 180. Leicester City have to go for goals. They are struggling to make anything happen, but Jamie Vardy is the only guy that can pull them out of this funk, Ian. It's worth a play for me.
You know, they brought in Evan Ferguson. He came off the bench against Arsenal. And I'm just wondering if he starts this game. If he does, that's where my money's going. I'd like to see him in the starting 11 to take this bet, but I'm laddering him if he starts. Plus 170 anytime goal score, plus 1,000 2+ goals, plus 6,000 for a hat trick for Evan Ferguson. That would be a nice way to make an introduction. There you have it, Buckets. I love these. Obviously, these 60-second clips are brilliant for us on social medias, and they're doing wonders, but obviously during our show as well. The show's just energetic. It's fun. We're trying a few things out. We're obviously thinking about what we're going to do for the future going forward with our show. We're still waiting for commitment from networks and obviously companies that could potentially sponsor us so that we keep this free for everybody out there. But these dabbles into different divisions are starting to get really entertaining. Clearly, it works for the Champions League, but this is our first real jump at the Premier League. If this is successful, who knows what can happen?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be successful because we could do this not only for the Prem, but the Bundesliga, Serie A, Liga, the Eredivisie, the Turkish Super League. I mean, you know me, Ian. There's nothing I will not bet here, and there's nothing I will not take the time to learn. So we could have these shows happening every single day of the week, 3 times a day if we wanted to.
Yeah, it would be crazy. You never know what can happen. We might just do a 24/7 network and just talk betting all day long. I'm sure there's demand out there in the soccer world as well. Hey, listen, before we go, we talked about him early on, Mohamed Salah. I want to just touch upon the fact that this guy is having an incredible season in the Premier League. This is brilliant to see what he's done so far this campaign. 41 goal involvements from 27 appearances this campaign. Buckets, I want to read a few stats out for you because it's just blown me away. He's the first player in the Premier League history to register 40+ goal involvements in 2 Premier League seasons. He did it back in his first season, 2017-18, and of course he's doing it now this season with the 41 goal involvements as well. This right here is a graphic that we had on the Galazzo network for our show Scoreline, which is obviously where you can catch me every single midweek and weekend after big games, obviously after the Champions League as well. But look at this. Teams with less goals than Mohamed Salah. In La Liga, there are 6 different teams who have scored less goals than Mohamed Salah has this season. My beloved St. Pauli also scored less goals. Union Berlin, Bochum. I mean, this is ridiculous. 5 teams in Serie A have scored less goals than Mohamed Salah. This graphic is just wonderful to see.
That is such a scary graphic, frankly. I mean, it's a little disappointing looking at some of these teams that I've bet on a lot this season and going, why did I bet on them to score goals when I could just take Salah? But Ian, if I'm not mistaken, weren't there or maybe there still are contract negotiations or struggles with Salah to stay at Liverpool?
Yeah, he's a free agent, obviously coming up. But when you're having this type of a season, it's very difficult to imagine that they wouldn't want to pay him or make him an offer that he simply can't refuse. I'll tell you some more stats as to why. Mohamed Salah scored 16 away goals in the Premier League this season, which is a joint record by any player in the competition's history, alongside Kevin Phillips back in 99, 2000, and Harry Kane 22 and 23. Mohamed Salah has both most goals being 9 and assists being 6 of any player against sides managed by Pep Guardiola in his top flight league managerial career, which is absolutely ridiculous. And that brings me up to a topic that maybe we should be talking about a little bit more. This one I want producer Jeff to clip and put out on our socials separately. Mohamed Salah to win Ballon d'Or, currently sitting at plus 250 to win Ballon d'Or. Kylian Mbappe plus 700. Vinny Jr. plus 800. Lamine Yamal plus 900. Where does Bucket sit on Mohamed Salah winning Ballon d'Or?
He's plus 250. Ian, we preach all the time responsible betting and, making sure to bet only what you can afford to lose. I'm having a hard time not taking a second mortgage out and just plus 250. I would have thought it was minus odds already. I know we're a bit away from it and there's a ton of great talent across all of Europe, but at plus 250, I don't know how you don't bet that. At least some kind of sprinkle.
So what is stopping Mohamed Salah winning Ballon d'Or, would I ask you and also ask myself? To me, the season he's having is one of the best seasons in Premier League history. It will eventually be probably, statistically, the best season we will ever see in Premier League history. It will take a lot to break what he's doing this season. It is a contract year. He's out of contract. Will he go somewhere else? Is he looking to go somewhere else? He's certainly looking and looks most likely he's going to win that Premier League title. It seems to be the trophy he wants more than anything else, a Premier League title over the Champions League. He said that so in an interview as well. But this type of a season is quite special. It's quite remarkable. Now, there is an African Nations Cup obviously coming at the end of the year, and I'm intrigued to see what will happen with Ballon d'Or. Regardless, FIFA Club World Cup in the middle of the season, summer, that's going to be interesting. But to me, Mohamed Salah right now is walking away with Ballon d'Or. This is a season like we've never seen before in the Premier League, and it might be one of those seasons. You remember that year when Messi scored 100 goals in a calendar year? You were probably too young for that, Buckets, but fucking hell, 100 goals in a calendar year special. Salah's on track to obviously not get near that, but still have it as an impressive season, which is special. Any other chance, though, Buckets? Kylian Mbappe hat-trick against Manchester City. He's flying right now. Vinny Jr. plus 800. Lamine Yamal plus 900.
I just don't think there's value in other people right now because Liverpool, even if, of course, there's a good chance they win the Prem, they're chasing a treble right now. They have the EFL Cup final coming up. They're still in Champions League. This could get more and more impressive the longer the season goes on. I don't know if I'd want to play anyone else.
Yeah, I had to go all the way to the UK markets to get that number, but it was plus 250 in the UK markets right now for him to win Ballon d'Or. He certainly deserves it. What a great season he's having. Buckets, another episode in the books for our loyal listeners. 30 minutes, done and dusted. Premier League midweek action. Hope everybody out there is betting responsibly. Go follow us on X. Go follow us on TikTok. Go follow us on Instagram. Go follow us on YouTube. Of course, subscribe to us, comment, like, and subscribe. Buckets, where can people find you outside of stoppage time in your CBS commitments?
You can find me on Bucket John Bets on Twitter, same on Instagram, same on OnlyFans, same on Tinder. Not Tinder anymore because your boy is taken. Sorry, got to get used to not saying that one. And you will not find me at... Never mind, man. Find me on Bucket John Bets everywhere.
Buckets in trouble. Buckets in trouble. Slip of the tongue. Anyway, appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you, producer Jeff. Appreciate everybody out there, including Hot Coco, who continues to do great on TikTok. We're getting like ridiculous in numbers. Like every day is like 10,000 views on our TikToks on those match days on Champions League, which is brilliant. I'm starting to really enjoy the TikTok platform. I think we can get creative there as well. But everybody out there, please make sure you're betting responsibly. Take our information, make your own bets, be kind in the comments. That's all we ask. We don't want any dickheads out there commenting on our show. Please make sure you keep it a family-friendly vibe. We do like to curse, yes. My kids swear as well. Who gives a fuck? Anyway, see you next time, Buckets. Make sure you absolutely have it!
You can't find me at the sperm bank anymore.